What do you mean? You already saw a video of me in this same exact outfit and it looks like I'm filming an additional video on the same exact day. You're lying. You're lying. Today, I'm going to be telling you the books that I DNF'd in the year of our Lord Beyonce 2024. Most of these, I cannot be bothered to try to read again. I'm sorry, just no. You're welcome. I these are all hard DNFs. I did not include my soft DNFs outside of maybe one or two of these. And I'll talk about which ones those are. Everything else, I'm sorry. You can be windmilling down in the comments. You can be screaming at the sky, punching the air, screaming, crying, throwing up. I'm not going to read these books. I tried and they're not my vibe. Let's get into it. The first one is actually a duo. Well, not a duo as like a duology, but they're both by the same author. And that is The Fury and The Maidens by Michael Michaelides. I feel like I've heard so many different pronunciations of his last name. Here's the thing. I read The Silent Patient earlier this year and I loved it. I was actually rather confused how so many people don't like The Silent Patient. I went into it thinking it was going to be, in the same camp as like Frida McFadden kind of novels where it's just like wacky and not really written very well. In my opinion, it was very well written. I don't really know what the overall criticism is of The Silent Patient, but I definitely enjoyed it. In fact, I quite liked their writing. And me personally, I didn't see the ending coming. Maybe that's what a lot of people criticize it for. They saw the ending coming. I didn't see that. It's just me. That's just me. It's just my opinion. However, off the high of reading and enjoying The Silent Patient, I attempted to read both of his other novels. I think these are the only other two things he's written, if I'm not mistaken. Couldn't get into it. I might, if I see like a thrifted copy somewhere out in the wilds of Japan, which I doubt I will, of The Maidens, I might give that another try. But The Fury, no, you can keep that. I don't want it. Next is The Return of Emily Black by Miko Jean. I was actually surprised to see this as one of the nominees for the Goodreads Choice Awards, because the reason I DNF'd it was because it was so boring. It's so unoriginal. And compared to some other new releases I've read this year, maybe if I would have kept reading, I would have saw what other people did, but it was very mediocre from what I read. I did not even want to waste my little time because the audiobook isn't that long and that's how I was consuming it. So it would have taken me only a day to read it. But even with that, I was like, no, thank you, Miss Ma'am. No, thank you. The next is a kind of an odd one. It's Bernie Sanders' Guide to Political Revolution. So, even though I don't live in the States, I live in Japan. I'm from America. And considering the recent turn of events, I was desperate to read something to give me some sort of hope, to give me some sort of proof that I'm not a crazy person and that the issues that have been plaguing America for generations, other people realize that as well. And so this was available on Libby. So I downloaded it and listened to about half of it. It's not that long. But I DNF'd it not because it was bad, but because it is very, very surface level. I feel like this is if it were marketed in a different way, so if it wasn't Bernie Sanders' guide to anything, and if the word political revolution wasn't in the title, this could be very beneficial for upperclassmen in high school to read, or maybe freshman students in college, like around that level, because I feel like that is the age where you start to become more and more aware of how the different systems of oppression affect you and other people around you. But basically, if you're already an adult and you were on Twitter at any time between like 2010 and 2020, none of this is new information for you. None of this is like mind-blowing information. And even the stuff that was mentioned was just very, very topical. It was not at all diving into anything. So sorry, Bernie. The next we have Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. No. The House Across the Lake. No, that's not what it's called. The House Under the Lake. Under the lake, there's a house. Wait, what is that Josh Mallerman book? The House Beneath the Lake? Y'all know what I'm talking about. That book I was able to read despite the sexual acts being described happening between underage children, because I just kind of like skimmed over it. I didn't want my eyeballs to consume that content. And there's this one scene that I did read that I cannot visually, or I guess like mentally unsee. I bring that up because Dark Places was that times 10. I hated being in the head of a horny teenage boy and all of the horny text messages he was getting from horny teenage girls. No. I didn't like Gone Girl, which that's a whole different conversation. That's why I didn't like that. What was the other thing? Sharp Objects was okay. In this, should be arrested. Chris Hansen needs to himself do a citizen's arrest on this book, please. No, thank you. Next, we have Foxhole Court by Nora Sakovic. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Aaron from Booked and Busy was going up, okay, for this series. Particularly, like, I think the last book in this series, she read like 3 or 4 times back to back. And I was like, wow, I need something to have a gorilla grip on me like that, okay? I think I shouldn't have listened to the audiobook. And so I might try this one again physically, just not anytime soon. So don't try to convince me to read it, because I might. But I think I was incorrect in trying to listen to the audiobook. It was not conducive to the story at all. Next is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. Everybody in my family is gonna beat your ass. Okay, that is how I felt about this book. It was so bad. I wanted to beat up this book so bad. It was so corny. It was so cheesy. I think this brand of humor doesn't really work for me in book form. I feel like if I would have been watching it through some sort of visual medium, it would have worked better. But this, no. Joke's on you, it was awful. I had to DNF it. I'm sorry. Next, okay, listen, Linda. I understand that this is a lot of people's all-time favorite series. I remember not too long ago when the last book came out and how the entire bookish community was just, creaming their pants over the ending. I tried so hard to like Jade City. I did. I tried. Y'all, I listened to the audiobook, couldn't do it. I bought the ebook for my Kindle, couldn't do it. I went and I bought a brand new physical copy, the paperback edition of this book, couldn't do it. I I can't. I've tried every way possible to consume this story and I cannot be bothered. I don't know what y'all see in this. For me, this goes kind of into the same category as Six of Crows. I don't understand what y'all are reading that is so cool and so badass about these characters and what they're doing. I just cannot be bothered. I don't give a damn. I just no. Next, we have If Something Happens to Me by Alex Finley. I don't know, but something is going to happen to my mental health if I would have continued to read this. It was so whack. It was so boring. Next, The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. I just don't think Lucy Foley is for me. I put The Paris Apartment on here, but please understand, I have tried to read this and what was the other one? Oh my God, I'll put it on the screen. I can't remember. I tried to read that as well. Once again, boring. Last but not least, we have An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson, I believe. Unless you catch me in a parking garage and mollywop me on the floor, I ain't gonna read this book. I'm not going to read the rest of this book. Child. So I'm supposed to believe that you are finishing up this portrait of like this fairy magician man, whatever, this crow man. And as you're finishing it up, the horns to alarm the surrounding community of an impending attack are blown. He gets up to react properly to this impending attack. And you say, no, wait. How do you want me to wrap this up and ship it to you? Do you want to use FedEx, USPS? I prefer UPS. It'll be like shorter shipping time. What are we doing? You want to talk about shipping? How you're going to give him the portrait? When there's a whole ass, maybe I misunderstood what I was reading. That is very possible. And if that is so, please tell me in the comments what actually was happening. But I reread that scene an additional time because I was that flabbergasted as to what I was reading. What do you mean, wait, I need to know how I'm supposed to give you this portrait? Baby, there ain't gonna be no portrait if somebody is attacking your ass. What the hell are you doing? Ma'am, the way that no, no. I don't want to see anybody even type the title of this book in the, you better not. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Okay, that is it from me today. Those are the books that I did not finish in the year 2024. The only ones I'm willing to consider are The Maidens. I'll have to read it physically. And The Foxhole Court. I have to read it physically. And anything else on here? No, I'm not interested, girl. I'm not interested. I don't want to do it. And you can't make me do it. Anyways, I will talk to y'all later. Bye. Bye, guys.